I have been thinking about what am I going to do this summer for the summer? What do you do with your summer besides, enjoy the days that go by? Do you actually plan out your summer in the winter, or do you wait till summer to choose when to do things? I try to plan out my summer as soon as it ends because sometimes you get great deals and sometimes it's just not even worth it. So I am going to try. Well, you know what's worth it? Watching cruising videos. There's a bunch of them out there. I wonder if anyone else does this. When I'm on a topic on YouTube, I go down a rabbit hole. I watch and then I favorite and subscribe to the people in a genre I like. For example, I have a bunch of train videos that I find quite interesting, and I think I follow about three train enthusiasts. And what I'm talking about with train is starting with Amtrak, but also these folks are people that love to travel by train. They love Amtrak, they love the train experience, and they share their travels with you. And I was able to share my travels with folks. I think last year was it when I ended my summer. I went out on an Amtrak trip from New York to Chicago. Loved it. Want to do it all the time. It was I want to say it was a 20-hour trip without delays. I left around 3 in the afternoon, arrived at 10 a.m., and my experience on the Amtrak was amazing and fun and funny. And it's really smaller. The roomette, as they call it, it's really much smaller than you would think. I don't know why, but on the videos, it looks so much bigger. I think it's perfect for one person, two people if you're really great friends and don't mind being in a small space with someone who can just be and not get out of their skin if you're in a small place for a long time. With that being said, my next places that I would love to go to are continue from Chicago into Seattle, Seattle possibly into California, Emeryville as they call it. And I would love to travel from California up to Vancouver, and Vancouver over to Montreal and maybe Toronto. So I definitely want to experience experience Canada by Amtrak, stay a few days somewhere and continue on. It's not for the Swift. It is the travel by train is Amtrak travel is not for the Swift. It's for the ones who want to take their time, who want to experience life in a much slower way. In a way that allows you to see the world, but not get lost in the world, and also meet different people. So a few of the things that I consider some pluses in traveling via Amtrak. When you buy a sleeper ticket, you get access to the Metropolitan Lounge. The Metropolitan Lounge in New York is one of the nicest appointed lounges I think, in a large city. You get complimentary beverages and snacks, even food. You get to chill out, put your stuff away as you wait for the train. So I would advise, if you're booking a sleeper car, a family room, any of those things, you take advantage of being able to go to the lounge. So you arrive early enough. Who doesn't want complimentary coffee and sandwiches, chips? And just watching people go by, and then you're escorted to your train as a first class passenger with a first class ticket. There is a worker that takes you down to the track earlier than everyone else. You get to board and settle in. So some pro tips, especially traveling in the summer. I was super ready. Definitely you want to take a small carry-on. If you're taking a carry-on, do not make sure it's not very deep, as in the depth of it. Mine was just right. I think mine is a 20-inch carry-on. It is a very small space, and what you don't want to do is end up having to stumble over your bag. So I was so happy I bought a backpack and a carry-on. And I even bought a small cooler bag. Because again, it was the summer. And I decided that I wanted to have a backup in case I didn't like the food. What I noticed in travel is that a lot of times the food you get is either pasta or very tomato based, and two things that I shouldn't be having. So anyway, back to things you need to bring with you. I would say wipes, facial wipes, sanitizing wipes, cleaner wipes, definitely have that. I made my own pillowcases and I made my own little placemats, and I brought those with me. And that was amazing because it was custom. It made my bedtime feel cozy, but also it helped with managing just a clean environment. The first thing I did when I got there, because I got on early, is I cleaned every surface. Door handle, railings, windows. I mean, that place was actually very dusty. And it was supposedly clean, and it was the first stop. It wasn't like I was getting on behind someone. Allegedly, it was, prepared for me. You do get a blanket. You do get pillows. I would again bring my own pillowcase. I'm just saying. And I would bring some type of pajamas. Now, depending on the car type that you get, some of the Amtrak trains have a ensuite toilet. Yes, your toilet is in there with you. At first you think it's nice. I don't have to leave and my toilet is with me. But your toilet is at the foot of where you're laying down on the bottom bunk. So you really have to consider that part. But what I noticed is if someone else uses the toilet higher than a number 1, you can tell, especially your neighbor across the way. So I started putting I started filling the gap under my door to avoid fumes coming in. And I slept with a face mask on. Not a heavy one, but just something to avoid, breathing in dust all night as I slept. Because I didn't want to sleep on the top bunk, but I did move to the top bunk at one point in the night just to look out at the starry sky go by. It is pitch dark at night on that train. But again, I was on the train to pass time, and relax. What do you do on the train, you say? Of course, there's music. I would download movies and stuff before because depending on the train, you may not have great Wi-Fi service to be able to watch and listen to what you want to. Journaling, coloring. I bought a coloring book, bought some markers, an adult coloring book, as they say. And then there's just staring out the window and watching um the states go by. That was one of my biggest things. Every station we stopped at, I tried to get a picture of it. It was such a new experience to me. You only get new once. That's the thing about traveling and new places. Pretty awesome. You are never going to get that first time um experience because of you're never going to get you're never going to be able to have that first time experience the same. So I left New York. I had bought some snacks with me. I bought food with me. It proved to be a great thing to do. I bought frozen water, which is a very smart thing to do because there's not like you can't ask them to freeze your water, put it in the fridge, or heat you up something. Meals do come with your first class ticket, which is a sleeper ticket. There are 3 types of bedrooms or sleeper rooms. One is the 2-person roomette. I say 2 people because it has 2 beds. So unless you're like a family of kids and you're going to have, it's still 2 people per bunk. Then there's the family room, and then there's the family bedroom, which is slightly bigger, and it also has a shower in the room as well as a toilet in a little like capsule in the room. And then there's the accessible bedroom, which is more for folks with a wheelchair and has more space to move around with a wheelchair. So 3 types of first class on Amtrak. Funny things about my trip. Well, I would say one of the funny things was the attendants. It's funny, like after a couple of hours on a train, you get to, one of the things about the attendant, that's what I wanted to go over. Tip your attendant. I met so many older folks and older couples of all human race forms and cultural backgrounds that gave me so many tips for train travel. There's a couple I met that they were traveling full time. They travel to see their kids and they stay either on a cruise or they travel on the train, which I thought was so amazing. But the gentleman traveling with the wife seemed a little bit sickly, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they okay? So it was very tight in their space because they had a lot of bags and the train was packed and there was no place to put their bags for a while, so they were really scrunched in. I mean, like packed in like sardines. So you start seeing these people at dinner because there's a dining car, or you can eat in your room. I wanted the experience of eating in my room at least once, but I ate in the dining car while I recorded the scenery going by. Definitely have a mini tripod and a large tripod, but the mini tripod was really clutch. It wrapped around certain things, but eventually it broke. So just be aware if you're trying to buy those tabletop tripods, they are delicate. So at dinner, I met this gentleman. He actually was from New York, and he now lived in where did he say he was getting off? I forget. Somewhere along the route to Chicago. There are different ways that you can get to Chicago, get to Philly, blah blah blah. I loved the route we went because we went all the way up to Albany, over Schenectady, blah 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 blah, through past the Great Lakes. You go past Indiana, Ohio. So you're north, and then you go straight over into Chicago. There's also another route that takes you south, also pretty cool. One thing I would also say is be mindful of be mindful of the train rocking back and forth, and also how you go to take a shower. I totally prepared for my shower in that I packed shoes for the shower shoes. I packed my clothes in a plastic bag, toiletries bag that hangs, and a bag for the clothes I was removing. So you kind of have to be smart about going to the restroom. My shower was not near me. If you're on an older car, look for a newer car and take a shower in the newer car. Clutch tip from my attendant. They were like, "Oh, the other car has a shower and it's better than this one. Great water temperature, hot water, spacious." I had a great time. The other shower looked like a very bad locker room shower and it was dreadful. I have to take a shower at nighttime so that I rest properly. Some people, they prefer getting up and taking morning showers, and some people take showers to go to bed. I do both. I take a shower to go to bed, and I take a shower to wake up, like to wake up fully. So I did that on the train. I showered twice on the train. The first time was better than the second because I feel like I was rushing the second time because I woke up in the morning and I felt like there was more people moving about. The door does not lock when you leave, it locks from the inside. So I didn't want to just leave my belongings unattended for too long. So my second shower, I was more rushing to get back to my room. All in all, I had a great time on the Amtrak travel route to Chicago. I took the Lakeshore Limited. That's the name of the train. I think it's train number 45 when you book your ticket. I use the Amtrak app. You get points. You can apply for the Amtrak credit card. I didn't, but you can. And I was just so happy to be leaving from New York because the lounge is really cool. And I thought I was early, but you also board early, and I can see why, because as a sleeper passenger, you want to settle in. Your attendant comes to ask your breakfast order and or your dinner order. My next venture on the train, I also take the train short distances, like New York to Maryland. That's about 3 hours, 3.5 hours tops. That was a regular route I did all the time, or still do. And of course, I will also look into, I would say also book early. The thing with Amtrak you have to realize is the closer you get to your trip, the more expensive it can get, because necessity makes things increase. So what you don't want to do is say, oh, let me wait till a week before. No, you will definitely pay more. You get discounts, I call it, for choosing to book early. Yeah, that's what I think. And now we're going to go to the part of this podcast that I like to call Play the Music. This is where I play songs that I'm adding to my Spotify playlist. And so I'm going to play the song, you're going to hear it, and then I'll let you know what it is, or you can try to guess. So that is Fat Joe with DJ Khaled and Amorpheus, and that's called Sunshine, also known as The Light. And obviously, it's from 2021. So, next song. Let's see what we're bringing to the table here. And that is Nick the Real. It's called Thanks for the Love. Different. But again, this is the Personal Details podcast, and we add different things. This next song. This is Always Be True by Sanchez. This is an oldie, 2017. Sanchez, is definitely a reggae artist his name is Kelvin Anthony Jackson, born in Kingston, Jamaica, November 30th, 1964. So, Sanchez, Always Be True. Next one. That's no one other than Richie Spice, and he's singing Brown Skin. Just a little something to bop to. So there you have it. Those are the additions to my Personal Details podcast. Play the Details. It's a playlist on Spotify. If you search for it, you should be able to find it, but it's also going to be featured in the show notes. Music makes the world go round. Make sure you listen to some every day. Be right back.